The stars stretched endlessly across the blackness of space, a glittering sea where countless civilizations carved their empires. Among them, humans were still young, still new to the Galactic Council, yet already their reputation stirred whispers. It was said humans were unpredictable, stubborn, and daring, qualities that some admired and others feared. In the Council's great hall, a sphere of polished crystal and shimmering light floated above a vast floor, where representatives of every known species gathered. Their forms were diverse beyond imagination. Some had scales that shimmered like liquid metal. Others had multiple eyes that could see ultraviolet and infrared at once. And some had no physical form at all, existing as glowing energy in containment fields. Humans, in contrast, were simple. 2 arms, 2 legs, a single face. Nothing extraordinary. But the humans carried something that no alien species could replicate easily: their unity. Ambassador Lyra Chen of Earth stepped forward with her delegation. Her uniform was plain, dark blue with a silver insignia representing humanity. She carried no weapons. She had only a tablet, a communicator, and the calm confidence of someone who had learned that humans thrived when all eyes doubted them. "Honored council members," she said, her voice carrying clearly despite the alien tongues around her. "We have received your message. One word: comply. We are prepared to understand what this means." A murmur ran through the hall. Many of the council species blinked, or whatever they did when surprised. One tall insectoid diplomat clicked its mandibles in amusement. Another, a cloud of bioluminescent particles, pulsed nervously. The word comply had been broadcast to every human settlement simultaneously, echoing across planets, colonies, and fleets. Yet it was vague. No instructions, no targets, no guidance, just that single word. For many other species, this would have caused confusion. Most would debate endlessly, argue, stall, and ultimately do nothing. But humans were different. Lyra tapped her communicator. Order received. "We will execute the instructions as understood. Please confirm any additional parameters." No one responded. The council was watching, waiting. Their expectations were clear. Humans would stumble, hesitate, fail. Yet Lyra and her team moved forward calmly. In the human fleet orbiting the planet below, Admiral Marcus Kane studied the Council's transmission. He was a tall man with graying hair and a scar across his cheek, a veteran of Earth's own conflicts before humanity joined the interstellar stage. He turned to his officers. "Comply," he repeated, letting the word settle. "It's vague, yes, but we're humans. We find ways. We organize, we act, break it down into steps, interpret, execute. That's how we survive." The officers nodded. Within hours, the human fleets were mobilized, systems humming, ships aligning in precise formations. Every captain, every soldier, every support crew member understood the order in the way humans always did. Act with purpose. Act together and act decisively. Meanwhile, back in the council hall, debates erupted. The council had never seen anything like it. One species argued that humans were too primitive to comprehend subtle politics. Another warned that humans' efficiency might become dangerous if unchecked. But most of them could not deny that the humans' precision and speed were impressive. Lyra remained silent, observing the alien reactions. She had learned long ago that humans thrived under skepticism. Other species expected them to fail, to hesitate, to be chaotic. But humans were unpredictable in the right ways, methodical, innovative, and united. The Council's doubt was their greatest weapon. A holographic screen in the hall displayed the human fleet moving through space, forming intricate patterns that were both defensive and offensive in capability. They did not attack, yet their readiness spoke volumes. The Council representatives watched silently as humans deployed automated support drones, mapped gravitational currents, and positioned scout ships in optimal locations, all without receiving further instructions. "Remarkable," muttered a small, crustacean-like delegate. "They move as if they already know the plan." Lyra stepped closer to the crystal sphere, addressing the council formally. "We have interpreted comply to mean that humans should prepare, assess, and mobilize responsibly, with minimal harm to others, while demonstrating readiness for any directive." The council remained quiet. Some were impressed, some annoyed, but all were watching. This was the first time humans had been asked to follow a command from the council. The result was unsettlingly effective. Far from the council on a remote human colony, young pilot Tessa Rami adjusted her cockpit controls. She had received the single word comply like everyone else. Unlike older veterans, she had no context, no prior understanding. But her instincts were sharp. She coordinated with other pilots, synchronized drone paths, and established surveillance perimeters. Every move she made was informed by human creativity and intuition. Even the engineers stationed deep underground on a mining planet interpreted the word with care. They prepared critical infrastructure to support the fleet: fuel stations, repair docks, communication relays. Everything aligned with the unseen plan, everything ready to act when needed. By the third day, the humans' preparation had created a spectacle. Their efficiency and coordination were no longer just impressive, they were extraordinary. Fleets moved in harmony across light years. Colonies operated as one network. Humans communicated in subtle but precise ways, anticipating needs before they were spoken. Back in the council hall, whispers of fear began to circulate. One elder diplomat, a being that resembled a tree with countless branches, leaned toward its neighbor. They are capable, perhaps too capable. Another, a glowing orb that communicated through pulses of light, added, "They are not like the other species. They do not require lengthy debates, they act, and they act with unity." Lyra smiled slightly to herself. Humans had always survived by acting in ways others could not predict. Their strengths were not in raw power or advanced technology alone. It was their adaptability, their intelligence, and their unyielding cooperation. The council had issued a single word expecting confusion. Humans turned it into action. At that moment, a subtle alert pinged on Lyra's communicator. The council's main chamber had activated a new directive, a hidden transmission. She opened it cautiously, reading line by line. The message was almost cryptic. "Proceed, but observe closely. The order is more than it seems." Lyra raised an eyebrow but said nothing aloud. She would not panic. Humans never panicked. She had learned from history that fear slowed progress. Instead, she instructed her team quietly, "Monitor all channels. Stay alert. Continue mobilization, but be ready for any deviation. Remember, unity is our strength." The human fleet continued its movement, elegant and precise, as if dancing to music only they could hear. Aliens in observation decks leaned closer, fascinated, unsettled, and unsure how to react. Every maneuver reflected the best of human traits: problem-solving, innovation, and cohesion. By the end of the first week, humans had fully interpreted the Council's word. Not through confusion, not by chance, but through human determination and intellect. Every human colony, ship, and team was synchronized, ready, and anticipating the next step. Lyra stood before the Council one last time for this phase, her expression calm, almost serene. "Order executed as understood. Humans stand ready for further instruction. We ask only that the Council clarify any additional parameters, so we may act in full alignment with their intent." The hall fell silent. For the first time, the Council faced a reality they had never anticipated. Humans did not stumble. Humans did not hesitate. Humans could take a single word, simple, vague, even deceptive, and turn it into order, discipline, and execution across a galaxy. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others watched in awe. One thing became undeniable. Humans were not just another species to be controlled or managed. Humans were extraordinary. And for the first time, many members of the Council wondered if they had underestimated them. Terribly. As Lyra and her delegation departed, Admiral Kane on the fleet's flagship transmitted a simple message to all units: "Stay alert. Humans follow orders, but humans think. Observation is key. We do not just comply. We understand. That is what makes us human." In the vastness of space, among the countless stars and civilizations, humanity had begun to make its mark. A single word from the Council, comply, had become the spark that revealed the true strength of the human race. Unity, intelligence, and resilience. The Council believed they were giving an order. Humans had already given themselves one: to thrive, to adapt, and to survive. And the galaxy had taken notice. The human fleet moved like a single living organism across the void of space. Every ship, from massive battlecruisers to small reconnaissance drones, followed precise calculations. Humans had taken the Council's single word, comply, and turned it into action that spanned light years. Their efficiency was unmatched. Yet beneath the surface, a storm of doubt had begun to rise. Admiral Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, gazing at the holographic map of the galaxy. Countless fleets, stations, and colonies were synchronized in perfect order. Yet something about the Council's order did not sit right. "Sir," said Lieutenant Vega, a young officer with sharp eyes and quicker thinking, "I've been analyzing the Council's communications. There are patterns, subtle, almost hidden instructions. It's as if they wanted us to move this way." Kane's brow furrowed. "Move this way for what, Vega?" "I don't know," she admitted. "It's not explicit. But the signals point to targeting certain regions where other species are weak or in conflict." The Admiral's hands tightened on the railing. "You're saying the Council may be using us?" Vega hesitated. "Possibly. They never explained why. They just said comply." Kane nodded slowly. "Humans always follow orders carefully, but humans also think. Prepare a full report. I want every anomaly documented, every hidden pattern traced. We follow orders, but we do not blindly walk into traps." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, human colonies were already noticing signs of unrest. On the mining planet Cerulean 7, engineers discovered unusual anomalies in energy readings. Nearby alien factions had been destabilized recently, and the Council's fleet movements appeared to align suspiciously with these disturbances. Dr. Elena Park, leading the research team, frowned as she analyzed the data. "It's too coincidental," she said. "Our preparations align exactly with the destabilization zones." "If this is intentional..." She did not finish her sentence. The implication was clear. Humans were being used as pawns. Back on the flagship, Kane convened a strategy meeting. The Council had expected blind obedience. They had expected humans to follow the order without question. Instead, humans were thinking, questioning, and analyzing. Lyra Chen joined the meeting via holographic link. Her voice was calm but firm. "We cannot assume malice yet, but we must prepare for it. If the Council intended deception, we need to detect it before we are forced into conflict." The room was tense. Officers exchanged uneasy glances. Humans had never encountered a situation where their obedience might be exploited, yet as always they adapted. Captain Rami, the young pilot from the outer colonies, spoke next. "We've mapped the regions the fleet is moving through. Some sectors have minimal civilian presence, others are near inhabited worlds. If the Council wanted to provoke war or weaken certain species, these areas would be the targets." Kane nodded. "Then we prepare for both outcomes. We follow the order, but we also protect. We do not become tools of manipulation. Humanity does not act blindly." The fleet shifted course subtly, maintaining outward compliance while avoiding sensitive zones. Automated drones monitored regions for signs of ambush or conflict. Humans communicated silently through encrypted channels, coordinating without alerting the Council. Days passed, and the hidden agenda became clearer. Scans revealed Council-supplied maps that showed unstable alien factions on the verge of collapse. Humans realized that if they strictly followed the Council's implicit intent, they could unknowingly trigger widespread destruction. Lyra addressed the Council in a formal transmission. "We seek clarification. Our interpretation of comply is complete, but patterns suggest underlying objectives beyond our understanding. We request guidance to prevent unnecessary harm." The Council's response was delayed. Hours turned into days, and during this silence, human ingenuity shone brighter than ever. Scientists devised ways to monitor regions without interference. Engineers optimized fleet logistics to avoid unnecessary presence near fragile worlds. Strategists plotted contingencies in case the Council attempted to force humans into harmful actions. Admiral Kane walked through the command deck, observing his officers. "This is why humans survive," he said quietly. "Not just strength, not just technology, but thinking ahead, adaptation, unity, and courage. The Council expects compliance, but humans do not stop at obedience." Elsewhere, Tessa Rami piloted her squadron near a neutral system. Sensors detected Council-aligned probes moving suspiciously close to inhabited planets. She realized that if the fleet followed the Council's hidden agenda, they could destabilize entire civilizations. "Tessa," her co-pilot said nervously, "what do we do?" "Orders say comply." Tessa's eyes were sharp. "Orders are one thing. Responsibility is another. We avoid interference while still moving forward. We watch, we learn. Humans are never just soldiers. We are guardians when needed. Onboard research ships, scientists discovered more anomalies. Energy surges in some star systems were artificially created, likely by Council technology. It became evident that the Council had deliberately orchestrated conditions to make humans act in a way that favored certain species while weakening others. Dr. Park called an emergency meeting with her team. "This is bigger than a single order," she said. "If humans act blindly, we may be blamed for conflicts we didn't start. We need full awareness of all variables, every sector, every anomaly, every potential threat." Engineers, pilots, and fleet commanders began working as one mind. The humans' ability to adapt and think collectively was unmatched. Unlike other species, humans were able to rapidly integrate new information, adjust strategies, and communicate complex ideas without delay. As they progressed, reports from other species reached the humans. Some minor factions expressed gratitude, noting that human fleets had passed through without causing harm, while the Council-aligned fleets of other species had caused confusion and damage. Slowly, humans realized their restraint was already earning them respect and suspicion from alien civilizations. Lyra's voice came over the fleet's comm system. "We are discovering the Council's hidden motives. Humans have the ability to interpret orders, yes, but we also have the ability to act ethically. Our compliance does not mean destruction. We choose responsibility." Even within the Council, whispers of worry began to circulate. How could a species so new, so untested in interstellar politics, have the foresight to detect manipulation? Some members argued that humans were dangerous precisely because they did not blindly obey. Others feared that humans' morality could destabilize long-standing power structures. On Cerulean 7, Dr. Park's team continued their observations. They discovered a pattern. Wherever humans carefully avoided unnecessary interference, systems stabilized rather than collapsing. It became evident that the Council had underestimated humans' ability to act ethically and strategically. Admiral Kane reviewed the data and smiled faintly. "This is exactly why humanity thrives. We are not just followers. We are thinkers, creators, problem solvers. The Council may have intended manipulation, but humans turn manipulation into opportunity." Tessa, Rami, and her squadron continued their patrol. Sensors picked up faint Council directives meant to guide them toward destabilizing zones. Tessa shook her head. "We ignore the trap," she said. "We protect life even when it's not convenient. That's what makes us human." For the first time, the humans began sending subtle signals to neighboring alien civilizations. Not commands, not interference, just warnings. Some factions heeded the humans' signals, avoiding conflict and chaos. Others ignored them, continuing their own disputes. But for the humans, the act was deliberate. They would not become pawns, no matter how vague the Council's order. Lyra Chen summarized the situation in a Council report. "Humans have executed the order as given, yet we have also identified hidden objectives intended by the Council. We remain compliant, but we act responsibly. Humanity will not harm innocent populations for political gain. We request dialogue to ensure clarity and prevent unintended consequences." The Council hesitated. For the first time, humans were not simply receiving orders, they were shaping outcomes. The hidden agenda was no longer hidden from them. Humans had turned uncertainty into awareness, manipulation into opportunity, and vague instructions into ethical action. Across the galaxy, the human fleet moved with silent determination. Every pilot, every scientist, every soldier understood their role, not just as executors of orders, but as guardians of life, intelligence, and justice. The Council's attempt to control humans had failed before it even began. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge watching the stars. The Council believed they gave a command. They were wrong. Humans never follow blindly. We observe, we calculate, we protect, we act. That is our strength. That is why humans endure, why humans flourish, and the galaxy will remember it. The hidden agenda of the Council had been revealed, yet humans were not angry. They were determined. The galaxy would not bend humans to secret schemes. If the Council expected compliance, they would get it, but on humanity's terms. And so with every calculated move, every ethical decision, every subtle adjustment, humans began to redefine the role they would play in the galaxy. No longer were they pawns. They were leaders in thought, guardians of life, and innovators of strategy. The Council's betrayal had been uncovered. Humans had not only survived it, they had grown stronger because of it. And the galaxy? The stars glimmered coldly as the human fleet glided through the void, each ship a testament to human precision, ingenuity, and unity. Yet beneath the disciplined order, a storm of revelation was about to erupt. Humans had followed the Council's single word, comply, with utmost diligence, and in doing so, had begun to uncover a truth no one could have anticipated. On board the flagship Resolute, Admiral Marcus Kane stood before the main observation window, arms folded. The holographic displays in the command room shimmered with data from across the galaxy. Every fleet movement, every energy surge, every pattern of planetary instability pointed toward the same conclusion. The Council had lied. Lyra Chen appeared via holographic transmission, her expression calm but resolute. "Admiral," she said, "we have located the Council's hidden directive. The evidence is irrefutable. Their order was never meant to protect or guide us. It was designed to use humans as instruments to weaken other civilizations, consolidating their own power." A murmur ran through the officers assembled. Captain Rami, the young pilot from Cerulean 7, clenched her fists. "So, all that time, we were just tools?" Kane shook his head slowly. "We were tested. And now we know, humans are not pawns. We act with intelligence, with morality, and with strategy. The Council's betrayal will not define us. It only confirms what we already know. We must act for ourselves, and for those who cannot protect themselves." The room fell silent for a moment. Then Dr. Elena Park, chief scientist, stepped forward. "Admiral, the data from the Council's archive shows clear patterns of manipulation. They wanted us to move into destabilized regions, triggering conflicts that could lead to catastrophic loss of life. The Council calculated every possibility except one: humans would think." Lyra's holographic form flickered slightly. "We interpreted the order. We complied in a way that preserved life. But now we must consider next steps. If the Council intended betrayal, their next moves could be far more aggressive." Kane's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare. Not for blind compliance, but for counteraction. We protect the innocent, safeguard the vulnerable, and ensure humanity is never exploited again." Meanwhile, aboard the outer colonies, Tessa Rami and her squadron intercepted communications between Council factions. The transmissions were encoded but clear enough to reveal intent. The Council had assumed that humans, inexperienced in interstellar politics, would blindly execute commands. But humans were proving otherwise. Tessa's voice was firm over the comms. "We've been given the Council's playbook. They underestimated our capacity to think. They expected obedience without question. They are about to regret it." The revelation sent waves across the human network. Every fleet, every station, every colony understood that the Council had betrayed them. Yet humans did not panic. They adapted. They strategized. They acted. Admiral Kane called an emergency meeting on the flagship. Key officers, pilots, scientists, and diplomats assembled in the central hall. The holographic display projected the Council's original instructions, overlaid with hidden manipulations. Each officer studied it, understanding the scale of the deceit. "Humans," Kane began. "The Council believed they controlled us. They thought a single word, comply, would be enough to bend us to their will. But humans are not machines. We do not act blindly. We interpret, we analyze, and we choose. Now the Council faces a choice: continue their deception or recognize humanity as a force to respect." Captain Rami's eyes burned with determination. "Sir, we need a plan. If the Council moves against us, or worse, uses us to harm others, we must be ready. We can't allow innocent civilizations to suffer because of their greed." Lyra nodded. "Agreed, but our strength is subtlety. We will not act recklessly. We continue compliance outwardly, but inwardly we craft our strategy. Observation, preparation, and precision will be our tools. And when the moment comes, we will turn the Council's betrayal against them." The officers dispersed to their assignments. Scientists began analyzing hidden Council algorithms. Engineers prepared ships for flexible deployment, and pilots ran simulations for potential conflicts. Every human was aligned with a single purpose: to ensure that the betrayal would not succeed. In orbit above a neutral planet, Tessa's squadron intercepted a small Council reconnaissance fleet approaching a vulnerable world. The Council expected humans to comply without interference. Instead, Tessa's pilots executed maneuvers designed to shield the planet without alerting the Council to their intervention. On the flagship, Kane studied the unfolding patterns. "They think we do not notice," he said. "They assume we obey. But humans are patient, humans are clever, and humans are united. Their betrayal has become their weakness." Days passed, and the humans' countermeasures proved effective. Regions targeted by the Council's manipulation stabilized under human observation. Minor factions that might have been exploited now remained unharmed. Humans had turned the Council's plan upside down without firing a single shot. Lyra transmitted a formal message to the Council. "Council of the Galaxy. Humans have executed the order given, yet we have identified manipulation intended to exploit us. We continue to comply with explicit instructions, but we will not participate in deception or harm. Humanity acts with judgment, and we advise all member civilizations to consider the consequences of hidden agendas." The Council's silence was telling. They had underestimated the humans' ability to perceive deceit, to act ethically, and to coordinate across vast distances. Whispers among Council members grew tense. Some feared that humans were no longer pawns. They were becoming a force capable of reshaping the galaxy's balance of power. In the human fleet, morale soared. Humans were not angry. They were focused. Betrayal had been revealed, yes, but it was an opportunity. Every officer, pilot, and scientist understood that humans were now in a position of unprecedented advantage. The Council had exposed its intentions, and humans had prepared to respond with intelligence, not aggression. Admiral Kane addressed the fleet over the Universal Comm Network. "Humans, the Council attempted to deceive us. They underestimated our capacity to think, to plan, and to act ethically. We are not pawns. We are humans. We adapt, we protect, we prevail. Remember this, their betrayal is our opportunity." The fleet responded with the human tradition of affirmation, a simple, unified signal of readiness, determination, and resolve. Across light years, humans spoke without words. Their actions aligned perfectly, their will unshakable. On Cerulean 7, Dr. Park and her team discovered additional layers of the Council's manipulations, hidden energy surges, destabilized trade routes, and false intelligence planted to guide human action. Each discovery reinforced one truth. The Council had planned every move except for one variable: the human mind. "Humans are not predictable," Dr. Park said softly. "We act with logic, but also with morality. They cannot control that." Lyra Chen smiled faintly at the observation. "Exactly. And that is why the Council's betrayal has failed. They assumed obedience would suffice. But humans think. We analyze. We protect. We act." The realization spread across the fleet. Humans understood that the Council's deception could have been disastrous, but their unity, creativity, and ethics turned it into a revelation of human strength. Every officer, every crew member, every pilot felt the same conviction. Humanity was no longer at the mercy of the Council. As the fleet moved deeper into contested space, subtle transmissions were sent to neighboring alien civilizations. Humans warned them of the Council's manipulations without interference, creating alliances and networks of trust. For the first time, many species began to see humans not just as newcomers, but as protectors, unpredictable, ethical, and capable. Admiral Kane observed the communications, his expression firm. "We are turning betrayal into opportunity." The Council believed they gave an order. "We gave ourselves one, to act with intelligence, to act with morality, to act as humans. The galaxy will take notice." Tessa Rami's squadron returned from another reconnaissance mission. "Sir," she reported, "all vulnerable sectors stabilized. Council probes did not detect our interventions. We've protected worlds without alerting them to our involvement." Kane nodded. "Excellent. This is what humans do. We comply outwardly, but we think, we adapt, and we protect. The Council may have betrayed us, but humans will turn that betrayal into our advantage." Lyra's holographic image flickered slightly. "Admiral, the data indicates that some Council members are beginning to doubt their strategy. Their own deception is being questioned by factions within. Humans have not only countered their plan, but also sown seeds of awareness. Their control is weakening." The realization was profound. The Council's carefully crafted manipulation had failed because humans were not merely obedient. They were intelligent, ethical, and unified. They could detect deceit, anticipate consequences, and act decisively. As the fleet continued its journey, humans prepared for the next phase. The Council's betrayal had been revealed. The hidden agenda was now exposed, and humanity, resilient and united, was ready to take the next steps, not as pawns but as leaders, guardians, and innovators. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. The humans had discovered the truth. The humans had acted ethically despite manipulation. The humans were no longer just a member species of the Council. They were a force to be reckoned with. The vast darkness of space was alive with movement. Human fleets, perfectly coordinated yet invisible to casual observation, spread across critical sectors of the galaxy. The Council had assumed obedience. They had assumed humans would act blindly. But humans were not blind. Humans were clever, patient, and relentless. Admiral Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the positions of Council-aligned fleets. The hidden agenda had been revealed, the betrayal uncovered. Now humans would strike, not with mindless aggression but with calculated ingenuity. "Prepare the fleet for tactical redeployment," Kane ordered. "We move in ways they will not expect. We will comply outwardly, but our actions will protect, not destroy, and we will ensure the Council cannot manipulate us further." Lieutenant Vega, monitoring the fleet's sensors, pointed to a sector near the neutral system of Iridian. "Sir, Council fleets are concentrating here, likely expecting human intervention to destabilize the system. We can use this to our advantage." Kane nodded. "Good, we will move, but subtly. No alarms, no unnecessary force. Our presence must be precise. Every maneuver must outthink them without revealing our full capabilities." Across the fleet, every officer understood their role. Humans were masters of adaptation, able to coordinate complex actions across light years without direct orders. Engineers adjusted power flows to optimize speed and fuel efficiency. Pilots synchronized their movements to create patterns that were both defensive and deceptive. Scientists fed continuous data into predictive models, anticipating every potential Council response. Tessa Rami led her squadron on a recon mission above Iridian. Sensors detected Council-aligned drones, silently scanning the system. Tessa's squadron moved in perfect formation, using stealth technology to intercept and reroute the drones without alerting them. Every small action preserved life while denying the Council control. "Keep it tight," she said over the comm. "No unnecessary exposure. Let them think we're doing nothing. That's how we stay ahead." Meanwhile, on the flagship, Kane coordinated with Lyra Chen. Holographic feed from Tessa's squadron shows drones diverted successfully. "We maintain outward compliance, but our strategy is in motion. The Council will not predict this." Lyra's expression was calm but sharp. "We are demonstrating a new principle. Humans comply, but humans think. Observation and adaptation are our weapons. Ethics guide us, but intelligence wins the game." In orbit above the planet Iridian Prime, the situation grew more complex. Civilian populations lived on the surface while Council fleets moved to exploit perceived weaknesses. Humans intervened in subtle ways, redirecting destabilizing energy surges, providing shield support to inhabited areas, and quietly stabilizing environmental anomalies, all without drawing attention to their true capabilities. Dr. Elena Park, analyzing the data from multiple monitoring stations, observed patterns that even the Council had not anticipated. "They expect compliance," she said. "They do not expect strategic intervention. Every adjustment we make now strengthens our position, protects life, and exposes their limitations." Captain Rami's squadron executed intricate maneuvers around Iridian, creating false impressions for the Council's sensors. To them, it appeared humans were following orders passively. In reality, every action was carefully planned to safeguard the system and reveal the Council's weaknesses. On the flagship, Kane addressed his officers. "Remember this, we are not here to wage war. We are here to think, to act, to protect, and to outsmart. The Council expects chaos. We will provide order. They expect obedience. We will provide intelligence. And through it all, we remain human." The fleet moved like a living organism, supply ships, combat vessels, reconnaissance drones, all synchronized in a dance of precision that only humans could achieve. Council-aligned forces approached, unaware that every step they took was being anticipated, every plan being countered subtly. Tessa's squadron intercepted a Council communication, encrypted but decipherable. It revealed their assumption. Humans were compliant, predictable, and ineffective at countering manipulation. Tessa's eyes narrowed. They still think we obey without thought. That will be their mistake. As human forces stabilized Iridian, Lyra sent a subtle communication to nearby alien civilizations. The message contained warnings about council manipulations and guidance on how to protect themselves, without direct human interference. Slowly, trust began to grow between humans and other species. Humans were proving that they were allies, not just participants. Meanwhile, council fleets observing the humans' outward compliance began to adjust their own tactics. Yet every adaptation by the council was met with a human countermeasure, often invisible, often indirect, always ethical. The council's plans began to unravel. Dr. Park observed another pattern. Our interventions are not just protecting life, they are reshaping the council's strategy. They assume control, but humans are rewriting the rules. On Iridian, civilian populations remained unaware of the intricate maneuvers happening above them. Human pilots, engineers, and scientists ensured that every system remained stable, every resource secure, and every potential threat neutralized before it could escalate. Humans were not fighting for power, they were defending life. Captain Rami transmitted her findings to Kane. "Sir, all critical sectors are secure. Council-aligned fleets are confused, redirecting resources based on false assumptions. We are one step ahead in every sector we monitor." Kane allowed himself a faint smile. "Excellent. Humans do not need to fight recklessly to win. Our strength lies in observation, adaptability, and ethics. We are making the Council reveal their weaknesses, without firing a single destructive shot." Lyra's hologram flickered slightly. Humans are demonstrating that compliance does not mean submission. Ethics does not mean weakness. Observation does not mean inaction. We are not only protecting the innocent, but we are also shaping the galaxy's understanding of human ingenuity. Across multiple star systems, other species began noticing the humans' actions. Reports came in. Previously endangered civilizations were now stable. Trade routes disrupted by the Council were restored. Conflicts subtly de-escalated. Humans had become a stabilizing force, a quiet power no one could challenge openly. On the flagship, Kane addressed the fleet once more. "We have turned betrayal into opportunity. The Council believes they command us. They believe they control the outcome. But humans are not controlled. Humans are not manipulated. Humans act with intelligence, morality, and unity. This is our power. This is why humans endure and flourish." Tessa Rami's squadron returned from another mission, their sensors filled with data showing Council movements and hidden weaknesses. "Sir," she reported, "they are adapting, but too late. Every plan they make has already been countered without their knowledge. Humanity is always one step ahead." Kane nodded. "That is the essence of our strategy. We observe, we adapt, we protect, and we prevail without unnecessary aggression. The Council's betrayal has given us the perfect opportunity to demonstrate human ingenuity." Back on the flagship, Dr. Park analyzed the energy fluxes in key sectors. "Our interventions have created stability where the Council intended chaos. Every move strengthens our position, exposes their plans, and builds alliances with other species." Lyra summarized for Kane. "Humans are not only complying, they are teaching the galaxy a lesson. Intelligence, ethics, and unity outweigh manipulation and deception. The Council underestimated the human mind, and now they are paying the price." As the fleet moved to the next sector, subtle communication signals were sent to neighboring civilizations, sharing insights on protection and cooperation. Slowly, trust grew, and humans became known not as mere participants in the galaxy's politics, but as strategists, protectors, and innovators. The Council, observing from afar, began to realize their mistake. They had underestimated humans' ability to combine observation, strategy, and morality. Their attempts at manipulation were unraveling, their power slowly undermined, not through direct conflict but through the quiet, relentless ingenuity of humans. Admiral Kane stood at the observation deck, gazing at the endless stars. The Council believed one word, comply, was enough to control us. They were wrong. Humans think, humans act, humans protect, and when the time comes, humans will ensure justice prevails. Across the galaxy, the human fleet moved with silent purpose. They were compliant yet independent, observant yet decisive, ethical yet powerful. Betrayal had been revealed and humans had struck, not with aggression, but with brilliance in every fleet, every station, every pilot and engineer. The message was clear. Humanity had turned the Council's deception into proof of its own ingenuity. The galaxy was watching, and humans were no longer just participants, they were leaders, protectors, and innovators. The Council may have intended chaos. Humans had delivered order. The Council may have intended manipulation. Humans had delivered insight. And the galaxy, witnessing the quiet brilliance of humanity, began to understand a simple truth. When humans act, even under a single word, the outcome is never predictable and always extraordinary. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Human fleets moved with quiet precision, protecting worlds, stabilizing regions, and outmaneuvering the Council at every turn. What had begun as a simple one-word order, comply, had become a revelation of human intelligence, ethics, and unity. On board the flagship Resolute, Admiral Marcus Kane surveyed the star systems now under human observation. The betrayal of the Council had been uncovered, the hidden agenda neutralized, and humans had proven themselves far more than mere pawns. They had become a force that could not be ignored. Lyra Chen appeared via holographic transmission, her expression steady. Admiral, we have confirmation. Multiple alien civilizations now recognize humanity as a stabilizing force. The Council's attempts at manipulation have failed. Their authority is weakened and their allies are questioning their judgment. Kane nodded slowly. Good. Humanity has always survived by thinking, by uniting, and by acting with integrity. Now the galaxy will see that we do not simply follow orders, we shape outcomes. Across the galaxy, humans began initiating subtle alliances. They reached out to alien civilizations that had been targeted or misled by the Council, sharing knowledge, protection strategies, and technology. These civilizations, once skeptical of humanity, now saw humans as allies and trusted partners. On Iridian Prime, Tessa Rami and her squadron flew low over cities, ensuring that infrastructure remained intact while monitoring for any signs of Council interference. Citizens, unaware of the near disaster, went about their lives in peace. Humans had acted as guardians, invisible but decisive. In the Council Hall, tension reached a boiling point. Some members demanded action against humans, fearing their growing influence. Others argued that humans were no longer controllable. They were independent, capable, and morally guided. The whispers of doubt grew louder with each passing day. Admiral Kane, addressing his officers and fleet commanders, emphasized the human approach. We do not seek war. We do not seek revenge. We seek justice, protection, and fairness. The Council attempted betrayal, but we have turned it into opportunity. We will act with intelligence and morality, not recklessness. Lyra added, the time has come to establish a new order, not through dominance, but through cooperation. Humans can lead by example, demonstrating that power lies not in manipulation but in wisdom, ethics, and unity. Across the fleet, scientists analyzed data from previous Council manipulations. Every energy anomaly, every destabilized trade route, every targeted region had been studied, corrected, and secured. The humans had not only neutralized the Council's schemes, they had improved the galaxy. Tessa's squadron intercepted a small Council task force approaching a critical trade route. Instead of engaging directly, they used stealth maneuvers and careful positioning to redirect the task force harmlessly, ensuring that no lives were lost and no systems were disrupted. Captain Rami reported back to Kane, her tone confident. Sir, the Council fleet has been redirected without incident. Their sensors indicate human compliance, but they cannot see our full capabilities. We continue to protect while preserving the illusion of obedience. Kane allowed himself a faint smile. Excellent. That is the essence of human ingenuity. We comply outwardly, we act strategically, and we protect life. Our strength lies not in destruction, but in intelligence and ethics. Meanwhile, Lyra coordinated with alien leaders who had previously suffered under the Council's manipulations. Messages of trust and cooperation flowed across the network. Humans shared insights on fleet coordination, energy stabilization, and defensive strategies. Slowly, a coalition began to form. A coalition that recognized humans as equals, as leaders, and as protectors. In the Council Hall, chaos grew. Members argued over the humans' growing influence. Some demanded sanctions, others considered dialogue. The betrayal had backfired spectacularly. Instead of control, the Council had fostered a force capable of reshaping galactic politics. Kane addressed the fleet again, his voice firm and inspiring. Humans have always thrived where others fail. We adapt, we think, we protect. The Council underestimated us, but now they see the truth. We are a force that acts with intelligence, morality, and unity. That is why humanity will endure, and why the galaxy will remember us. On Iridian, civilians began noticing subtle improvements in their systems, stabilized energy grids, restored trade routes, and improved planetary defenses. None knew it was humans behind these changes. Humans had become silent guardians, guiding the galaxy toward fairness without ever claiming credit. Lyra and Kane met virtually with representatives of allied civilizations. We do not seek conquest, Lyra emphasized. We seek cooperation, stability, and protection. The Council may have underestimated humans, but together, we can ensure a galaxy that is fair, just, and peaceful. The allied leaders nodded, impressed by the human approach. They had seen firsthand how humans could interpret vague commands, detect manipulation, and act decisively while protecting life. Their respect for humanity grew, and trust flourished. Back on the flagship, Kane reflected on the journey. A single word, comply, had sparked an unprecedented test. The Council had expected obedience, confusion, and failure. Instead, humans had turned betrayal into opportunity, manipulation into a lesson, and uncertainty into leadership. Tessa Rami flew over a remote system, monitoring trade routes. "Sir," she said, "our influence is spreading quietly. Planets that were previously vulnerable are now stable. Civilizations are beginning to see humans as allies rather than newcomers. We are making a difference without firing a shot." Kane nodded. "That is exactly what we set out to do. Humans do not need aggression to lead. Our strength is in intelligence, ethics, and unity. That is why humans endure. That is why humans flourish." Lyra summarized the new galactic landscape. The Council's authority is no longer absolute. Their manipulations have been exposed. Humans, through ethics and ingenuity, have established themselves as a stabilizing force. Other civilizations are joining in cooperation, creating a new balance of power. Across the galaxy, reports of human interventions spread quietly. Civilizations once at the mercy of the Council's schemes now thrived. Trade routes flourished, energy systems stabilized, and conflicts were de-escalated without violence. Humans had demonstrated that leadership was not about fear or control. It was about intelligence, morality, and unity. Admiral Kane addressed the fleet one final time. "We have faced betrayal, uncovered manipulation, and acted with integrity. The Council believed they controlled us, but humans are never controlled. We comply, yes, but we also think, we adapt, and we protect. That is our power. That is our legacy, and the galaxy will remember it." Tessa Rami's squadron returned to the flagship, reporting that all sectors under observation were secure. "Sir, humans have established a presence of trust and protection. The Council cannot challenge our influence without revealing their own weaknesses." Kane allowed a small smile. "Excellent. Humanity has proven that intelligence, ethics, and unity are stronger than deceit and manipulation. We have created a new order, not through war, but through wisdom," Lyra concluded. "The galaxy now recognizes humans as leaders, allies, and guardians. We have turned betrayal into triumph, deception into clarity, and compliance into opportunity. A single word from the Council, comply, has revealed the extraordinary strength of humanity." Across the stars, the human fleet moved silently but decisively. They had turned the Council's betrayal into a force for good, establishing a network of trust, stability, and cooperation. The galaxy was no longer divided solely by power. It was beginning to recognize the value of ethics, intelligence, and unity, and humans had led the way. The Council, humbled and cautious, could no longer dictate terms. Their betrayal had failed, and humans had proven that obedience alone did not define them. Humans were thinkers, strategists, protectors, and leaders. In the final transmission of the campaign, Kane addressed the entire galaxy. "To all civilizations, human and alien alike, we have faced manipulation, deception, and betrayal. We have acted with integrity, intelligence, and unity. The galaxy is stronger because of our actions. Humans will continue to protect, to cooperate, and to lead through wisdom, not through fear. That is our promise. That is our legacy. The stars stretched endlessly, indifferent yet witness to humanity's achievement. Across light years, humans had turned a single word, comply, into a galaxy-wide revelation. They had uncovered betrayal, neutralized manipulation, protected countless civilizations, and established a new order based on intelligence, morality, and unity.